Well, now we're going to talk to the head coach of the baseball program at Indiana, Tracy Smith. You can follow the baseball program, and I think of Twitter follows, this one might be the most entertaining in the department, at Hoosier Baseball. Tracy Smith gets on there and will tell you what he's doing on Thanksgiving, usually playing video games. He'll talk about paintball, American Idol, his team, and then Kyle Coolman occasionally will jump on in the middle of games to give you in-game score reports. You also can follow me at JF Gray on Twitter, and I talk quite a bit about the baseball program and give you links to the broadcast of the games. So, Skip, thanks so much for joining us today.
No problem. I told Kyle, I said, Kyle, you got to make sure you identify yourself on those Twitters or on those tweets because when the boring ones come out, I want people to make sure they know that it's you. So now we have fun with that. So I love that service.
Well, and I was just talking to Coach Gardner about her show on YouTube, Skip Scoop. Quite a bit of viewers who get on that, and you really take time to make it especially entertaining. You follow TC Nip to his fraternity house and force him to wear a sweater around his neck and penny loafers. You've had Clay
way to force him. That's his regular attire. What are you talking about?
Well, you've already got a question from Hoosier for Life. They want to know who is the best American Idol star of all time?
Of all time, I tell you, I think Adam Lambert, even though he didn't win it, which is still mind-boggling to me, is probably one of the greatest talents. Now, being a country guy, now I'm sitting here right now. What's her name? Come on.
Carrie Underwood.
Carrie Underwood, yeah. I think
I'm a fan.
Yeah, she is phenomenal. But I'll tell you, everybody this year, if you're still watching it, everyone in there has a chance to win it. But I kind of like that Casey Abrams guy. And the fact that they voted him off the other day and then he got the save. But that dude, he's unbelievable. Well,
and let's go back and talk about your show on YouTube, Skip Scoop. You've done it from a hot tub. You've showed pickup basketball games. You've kind of done it all on that show, and you really take time to make it entertaining. You also take questions from viewers as well as photographs. You've really made it your own.
Well, it's like anything else. And I'll tell you, I got to give a lot of credit to, first of all, Matt Brady, when he was here, started and then handed the reins to Kyle Coolman. Kyle is the genius behind the directing, the cuts, and putting it all together in a very creative format. But it's one of those things we say, hey, if we're going to do this, let's make it something that people would like to watch and really give an inside look at what we do. And you travel with us. I mean, we're business. But we also like to have fun, and I think, and I hope that Skip Scoop I think it accurately portrays what goes on within our baseball program.
Well, and you look at your team, and you've got an entertaining team, and you've got two young men who are entertaining in their own way, who've got a blog of their own, Catching Up with the Hoosiers. Wes Wilson and Dylan Swift craft that one. They also have video there, so they're trying to reach out to the public a little bit.
Well, and they put off their first blog and their video, and I remember saying to them after that, I said, boys, you're going to have to come stronger than that if you're going to compete with Skip Scoop. And I literally fell out of my chair when I watched their second one. So those guys are having a lot of fun with that. But I think any successful team, if you even look at like the San Francisco Giants, the world champion San Francisco Giants, all the characters and personalities they had on that team, the Boston Red Sox, I just think if you have character and personality, don't stifle that. Let that come out, and that just creates for a fun atmosphere to be involved with, and we certainly have some characters on this squad.
Well, someone interacting with us here on social media day, his name is The Rock. He wants to know how your Call of Duty skills are these days.
Actually, I got on it last night and got after it. The Lil Wayne concert that took over Assembly Hall, which our office is located. The Smith boys, the three Smith boys, and I'm sure we'll be judged critically for that of allowing Jack to go to Lil Wayne. But the Smith boys had a great time, and Jamie and I were in the office killing time, and she's doing Scrabble, so I had to go and get on Call of Duty and rock that out a little bit.
Well, again, your games are all broadcast on iuhoosiers.com or big10network.com. Talk about how, and now this might sound a little self-aggrandizing, how that has helped the exposure of your program, where you've got recruits from all over the country and their parents or their friends or fans of the program are able to follow the Hoosiers over the course of the year.
And follow, and they do. I think it's an unbelievable opportunity for people to stay connected. And thinking back, and I heard Michelle talk about it, back when we played back in the dinosaur age or whatever, I mean, the limited access people would have to your program and what a plus it is for people all over the country and all over the world be able to have a chance to do that. And it's been very, very helpful for us. We get a lot of feedback on that, and as you can see, we enjoy being a part of that.
Well, and I thought this last weekend where you took on Ohio State, you took 2 of 3. You're right there in second place, just a game behind in the Big Ten. And I felt heading into the Big Ten season it was going to come down to Indiana and Michigan State. The Big Ten Network thought it was going to be Michigan and Minnesota, but they've been proven wrong. It'll be Indiana and Michigan State there at the end, I think, anyway. But you've changed the culture as it was a packed house this last weekend. The varsity shop was selling hats and jerseys and all that kind of stuff. And they ended up selling out of hats after the Saturday game. The culture has changed, and people are really excited about the program.
I did hear that about the hats. And, again, I would love to say that it's all us, but it's one of those things that it's all in steps, and it's taken time. I mean, here we are, year 6, and it was one of those things that we said we don't want to come with our hands out until we prove ourselves. And I think the first step in proving is winning a little bit and giving people something to grasp and want to root for. And once we were able to do that and get the recruiting going and take care of, then you start looking at other areas of your program, which I feel are as important, like the marketing of your program and even concessions. I mean, I'd heard something they'd made the most they ever made in concessions. And, as crazy as that sounds as the baseball coach, I am proud of that we were able to, contribute to other areas that aren't necessarily on the baseball diamond, but make us all successful within the athletic department.
Well, a restaurant can have a nice facade and good, commercial advertisements, but if the food isn't good, they might not come. Your team is good. You're 20-11 right now. You've taken on a team from the SEC on the road. You beat them. You took on Coastal Carolina on the road, one of the top 20 teams in the country. You beat them. You took on UConn, who for whatever reason everybody seems to love, and you beat them 3-1. They were a ranked team. The product on the field is there, and let's kind of talk about your team a little bit and start off with Alex Dickerson, a guy I think a lot of people already know about.
Well, I've been saying that any chance I get, I'm not one that sits and says I want to beg for fans. I mean, I'm always one. If you don't come out and watch us, then you're probably missing something, because we do have some pretty special players, and starting with Alex, I mean that's one of the best players in the country, and he's going to be one of the top picks, and played for Team USA, and is having another Alex Dickerson year for us. And so I think we've got a lot of guys. What I like about this team, though, is it isn't just sitting and resting on one guy. It's everybody contributing. It seems to be somebody different every time. You referenced the Ohio State series this last weekend. I mean, TC Nip, can you define a better memorable moment than that, of a 2-out tying triple in the bottom of the 9th and then going on, and Mike Basil getting the game-winning hit. And so it's a lot of guys contributing for the overall success of the team.
Well, let's talk about Micah Johnson, who is just phenomenal to watch, leading the league in stolen bases and runs scored, and probably attitude on the field, and that's something that you really got to like.
Yeah, I was gonna make a comment like that. You know what? That's what makes that kid special. I mean, he is a talent. He is a talent for sure. And what's been fun for me to see relative to baseball for him is, if you remember last year, I mean, very offensive. Very offensive-minded, one of the best offensive guys in the Big Ten. But defense was shaky at times. And one of the things that he's really focused on this fall was his defense and becoming a complete player. And now to see him make some of the plays that he has made, I mean, you can flip on SportsCenter and not see some of those. So, and to see his attitude and how fun that is for him, that kid just grows and gets better every day. But yeah, he's an unbelievable talent too.
Well, and then I think a lot of our women's basketball fans who might be checking in here on social media day, ready to hear Coach Jackson interviewed, will remember Jenny DeMuth, who's probably one of the 5 best basketball players ever to play for that program. Or her younger brother's pretty good too. Dustin DeMuth, seemingly week in and week out, wins Big Ten Freshman of the Week, and he's a phenomenal athlete at third base.
Yeah, he is a phenomenal athlete, one of the best. But too bad he's the second best athlete in his family.
Yeah.
And I hate to admit this, publicly, but he's better than we even thought. And not that we didn't think he was going to be good, but to see a freshman come in with the maturity level that he has brought immediately to the program, and just the consistency, because a lot of times guys will be up and down, and he has been Mr. Consistent, and just a solid approach. But that guy's going to be fun to watch for the next few years.
And really the difference between this year's team and last year's team, And last year's team hit 85 home runs in a 54-game season, dominated the Big Ten in all offensive categories, but struggled because the depth on the mound wasn't there at all because of attrition to the draft and injury early in the year. You've got that pitching depth this year, Blake Monar and Chad Martin especially, then a litany of guys who've gotten it done on Sundays, and then my adopted son, Ryan the Gangsta Halstead, coming out of the bullpen.
Well, and referring back to last year, really of nobody's fault. We did get wiped out in the draft, and some we anticipated and some we didn't. And very few people know the rules of the Big Ten, but because of the rules of the Big Ten, recruiting not allowed to oversign, very difficult to protect yourself from that. And then Monar going down, that did set us back, and that's one of the things that we really wanted to focus on with our recruiting, and I believe we did that. The guys tried a lot last year, but we just didn't have the depth that we have this year. And yeah, having Blake back at the top of that rotation is certainly good for our younger guys to see. Junior college transfer Chad Martin, who I don't know if he's still leading the Big Ten in the RA, but I mean he's been awesome out of the number 2 spot for us. And then we've been kind of experimenting with number 3, and just different guys contributed. But yes, the Gangsta, much like the Muth is doing it on the position player side, how unusual it is for a freshman to be that composed, that consistent as a closer is it's fun to watch. Makes my job easy.
We got some more either comments or questions from fans who are following us on social media day here. This one just a compliment from one Hoosier fan 20. Tracy Smith just seems like he'd be the best coach ever to play for. All right, well.
Thank you.
I've been on the bus after a loss. Kind of, yeah. All right, Hoosier for Life wants to know, what is your favorite thing about the city of Bloomington and why?
What is I tell you, and I've said this publicly before, but my wife and I, when we were here, I was an assistant in the mid-'90s. When we left to go back to Miami of Ohio, my first head coaching job, we left Bloomington saying, we will retire there when it's all said and done. I just think the fact that you have Bloomington, you have Indiana University sitting in the middle of this community that you can't even describe and put into words to people. There are so many things, but I just love the small town feel, but having big time college athletics, and I just think to find that type of blend, that type of mix, would be very difficult to match or beat. So that's what I love about this place.
Well, and you're one of several coaches who you can always find at other sporting events and hanging out with the other coaches. There seems to be a good camaraderie amongst the staff. There's even a situation, the Michigan series, where the softball team was playing on the adjacent field. You were upset about a call, and they were upset about your handling of being upset about the call, and you ended up watching the rest of the softball game. And it's one of those things that I think the whole department really gets along that way.
So what are you saying, Jay? I got kicked out?
I
wasn't that upset when I went out. Let's set the record straight. I wasn't that upset. I guess the umpire was a little sensitive that day. But anyway, yeah, I got booted in the first inning, and normally if ejections happen because I really wasn't that mad. It usually is in the 7th or 8th, and you only have to kill about a half hour. I had 2.5 hours to kill, but I thought, what better way to kill 2.5 hours than to go over and check out Michelle putting it on the Wolverines in softball, and that was an exciting game. So yeah, I didn't get to watch mine, but I got to watch another good game over there. Absolutely.
Now another question from a baseball fan. What has led to your pitchers leading the Big Ten in pickoffs this year? And they're not just leading the Big Ten. At last count, I think it was 23 for Indiana, 9 for the second closest team. Joey Donato by himself leads the Big Ten in pickoffs.
I will use a Jeremy Gray word, plethora. We have a plethora of left-handers, and I think that has led to the increase in pickoffs and allowing us, because we've got some lefties and some young lefties, some new guys with some unbelievable moves that have allowed us to take advantage of maybe a miscue or walk or base hit. Yeah, we joke with Joey, is just, hey, what our best defense is just walk them and then pick them off.
All right, well, if you want to follow Tracy Smith and the baseball program on Twitter, it's at Hoosier Baseball. You can also check out his show on YouTube, Skip Scoop. You can catch the games on iuhoosiers.com. Today, you're part of the double feature with softball. We're going to have video of your game streamed, connected with our call on Ustream today, so it's going to be exciting with a lot of guests doing color commentary.
And bark in the park.
Bark in the park. You can bring your dog.
We have 4 dogs. I told Jamie bring them all 4. They'd be disappointed, but she's only going to bring 3.
Well, and if I bring Truman and Bess, no other dog's going to get a foul ball. Just letting you know. Golden Retrievers.
That's perfect.
You got it. All right. Coach Smith, thanks so much for joining us. Congratulations on a phenomenal year.